Good morning. We are on the record. Today is February 25th, 2020. The time is 11:37 a.m. We are at 100 Church Street in New York City on the 20th floor. Welcome to today's meeting of the New York City Business Integrity Commission. This is a public meeting which was duly noticed for today's date at this location at 11:30 a.m. We have a court reporter here taking down what is being said, and this meeting is being videoed. The video will be put on BIC's YouTube channel in a timely manner following the conclusion of this meeting. I am David Feldman, Deputy Commissioner of Legal Affairs and General Counsel for the Commission, and I am joined by the following Commission members. Noah Janelle, Commissioner and Chair of the Business Integrity Commission. Department of Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia. Department of Investigation Commissioner Margaret Garnett. Department of Consumer and Worker Protection Commissioner Lorelei Salas. Deputy Commissioner for Legal and Regulatory Affairs Andrew Schwartz of the Department of Small Business Services, representing SBS Commissioner Greg Bishop. And Inspector Matthew Hyland of the New York City Police Department, representing Police Commissioner Dermot Shea. Thank you for being here today. Today, the Commission will consider a proposed final rule relating to heavy-duty trade waste hauling vehicles. Currently, Local Law 145 of 2013, which added Section 24-163.11 to the Administrative Code, requires that every heavy-duty trade waste hauling vehicle that is owned or operated by an entity required to be licensed or registered by the Commission and operating in New York City be equipped with an EPA-certified 2007 or later engine, or utilize best available retrofit technology as defined by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. The proposed final rules require an owner or operator of a heavy trade waste hauling vehicle that has a pre-2007 engine and utilizes best available retrofit technology as defined in Section 24-163.11b of the Administrative Code to obtain from the New York City Department of Environmental Protection a decal labeling the vehicle as compliant with Local Law 145 of 2013 and to place the decal on the driver's or passenger's door of the vehicle cab. Additionally, the Commission proposes changes to the penalty section of its rules and clarifies that BIC will not issue license plates to vehicles that do not comply with the requirements set forth in Section 24-163.11. On January 27, 2020, the Commission held a public hearing on the proposed rule. The Commission did not receive any comments on the rule. The rule change is now up for a vote as to whether to adopt it. If the Commission votes yes to adopt the rule change, the final rule will be published and will go into effect 30 days after publication. Do any of the Commissioners have any questions or comments regarding the proposed rule?
No.
Is there a motion from the Commissioners to adopt the proposed rule? Is there a second?
Second.
And how do the members vote? Starting with Ms. Garcia?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect that the vote is unanimous. Today, the Commission will also consider two applications which the Commission staff have recommended be denied. One, Stepmar Contracting Corp. Two, Salvatore Vicari, DBA Sal General Contractor. Stepmar Contracting Corp. and Salvatore Vicari, DBA Sal General Contractor each submitted an application to renew an exemption from the licensing requirements to operate as a trade waste business. The applicants were each served with a notice of the grounds to recommend the denial of their application. They were advised that they had 10 business days to submit a sworn written response to the Commission. Stepmar Contracting Corp. submitted a response on January 27, 2020, after having been granted an extension of time, and the Commission carefully considered the applicant's response. Salvatore Vicari did not submit a response. On February 18, 2020, we emailed to the Commission members the recommended denial decisions regarding the applications issued. There have been no material changes made to the recommended denial decisions since then. The Commission will now consider the recommended denials. For each application, the Commission members will vote as to whether or not to adopt the staff's recommendation to deny the application. A vote of yes is a vote to adopt the staff's recommendation. A vote of no is a vote not to adopt the recommendation. The first recommendation is for Stetmar Contractor. The staff attorney in charge of this matter is Associate Commissioner of Legal Affairs David Mandel. The Commission's staff has recommended denial of this application based on the following two grounds as fully set forth in the staff's recommendation. One, the applicant failed to provide information to the Commission. And two, the applicant and its principal, Mario Giacovino, provided the Commission with false and misleading information on its applications. Do any of the Commissioners have any questions or comments regarding this application?
No.
Is there a motion from the Commissioners to adopt the staff's recommendation? Is there a second?
Second.
How do members vote? Again, starting with Commissioner Dorsey.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Let the record reflect that the vote is unanimous. The next application to consider is Salvatore Vicari, DBA Sal General Contractor. The staff attorney in charge of this matter is Executive Agency Counsel Svetlana Yukselovich. The Commission staff has recommended denial of this application based on the following two grounds as fully set forth in the staff's recommendation. One, the applicant has failed to pay taxes, fines, penalties, or fees that are related to the applicant's business for which judgment has been entered by a court or administrative tribunal of competent jurisdiction. And two, the applicant has knowingly failed to provide information and/or documentation required by the Commission. Do any of the Commissioners have any questions or comments regarding this application?
No.
Is there a motion from the Commissioners to adopt the staff's recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And how do the members vote?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Let the record reflect that the vote is unanimous. I ask the members of the Commission to sign the decisions that have been voted on today. We will now go off the record for a few minutes. It's by Justin Bland, Director of Commercial Waste Zoning at the Department of Sanitation. Thank you, Justin, for presenting on this important topic.
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm Justin Bland, Director of Commercial Waste Zoning at the Department of Sanitation. Thanks, one. So I'm here to give you an update on what DSNY has been doing, working with BIC closely for the last 2 years around commercial waste, because commercial waste collection is about to change pretty significantly. So I'm talking about putrescible waste collection, so black bag garbage, recycling, and organics. Basically the commercial equivalent of what you throw out at your homes. This policy does not affect a lot of what the Commission looks at, which is construction and demolition waste, grease hauling, specialty waste, medical waste. So this is commercial putrescible waste, about 90 haulers collecting it currently, all licensed by BIC. A little more than a year ago, we released a plan, Commercial Waste Zones, a comprehensive plan for establishing this program. Our framework, after a year or so of study, looking at the commercial waste industry and how it should best operate in a more efficient manner. After about a year of working with City Council and doing an environmental review, City Council passed Local Law 199, which enables us to enact this plan. They passed that in October. The mayor signed it into law November 20th. So what are the current conditions of commercial waste? There are currently 90 licensed haulers collecting putrescible waste, black bag garbage. And they're operating basically all on top of each other. This map shows the number of different companies collecting in every single community district. So in the community district we're in right now, 42 different companies, each with their own trucks, are coming to this small area and providing essentially the same service. And this is the case all throughout the city, even in the less dense areas. You have often dozens of companies coming in with dozens of different trucks, dozens of different fleets providing the same service. So when you're in the neighborhood, you're going to see a lot of excess truck traffic and noise just providing the same service of picking up the garbage, putting it in the truck, and taking it away. So what it looks like on the street level, And again, this is all over the city, from the densest parts of Midtown Manhattan all the way down to Bay Street in Staten Island, is on a commercial strip. You will have different companies providing the same service to different businesses. So a block with a dozen businesses could have different carters, again, with 10 different trucks coming in. So we see this in Midtown Manhattan, where 141 customers have 26 different carting companies coming down that street every night. Even down to Mass Beth, Queens, where 14 different customers have 10 different carting companies. And what it does on the operations side, when you have so many other competitors between your stops, is your routes become very long. This squiggly pink line is one route, one out of about 700 routes that run every single night. It is very, very long. They're often over 100 miles long, and you can imagine if you're actually driving this, it takes a long time. These are grueling routes. They can often take 10 or 12 hours. There's a lot of pressure from the companies for drivers to finish these in a timely manner. Some are so long that you cannot finish them in one night without cutting corners. And when you're driving a 10-ton truck filled with 10 more tons of garbage, it really matters if you're cutting corners or not. You know, blowing through a stop sign can be fatal, or a stoplight. And we see that all the time, cutting corners around safety, but also around recycling. So there have been a number of incidents, and the commission has stepped in to revoke the license of the worst offenders, but we're seeing a number of fatalities and just crashes in the streets very often. And then recycling is often undermined as well. So this is a corner that's cut. Instead of sending trucks for recycling, we see that customers are often doing the right things, separating their materials, but then a company will put everything back in the same truck, and essentially it goes to landfill. So this undermines the recycling program. It's ripping off customers. It's not giving them what they pay for, and it's really hurting our efforts to get to zero waste to landfills in the city. Okay, so what's the problem? I think this picture right here kind of shows it all. It's at least 5 different companies picking up in one strip mall in Jamaica, Queens. So you can imagine if you live in this apartment right here, how much extra noise you have to deal with, not to mention air pollution and safety concerns crossing the street. Routes are regularly over 100 miles long. A lot of city blocks see 50 or more trucks pass through every single night. So for residents, excess noise, pollution, traffic, safety concerns. For workers, these are long and dangerous routes, and companies, while getting this race to the bottom dynamic, often have labor violations against their workers. For customers, there's not very much transparency around why they're being charged, what they're charged, and very little confidence that if they recycle, that it's actually being handled properly. For the carters themselves, they don't want to operate like this, but it's the system that they're stuck in. It's in their interest to operate efficiently, but it's basically impossible now, and they can only make money if they're cutting corners on important things like safety, recycling, and infrastructure. And then for the city, Business Integrity Commission does great work on integrity, and that's still always going to be necessary, but the licensing scheme is very difficult for enforcing recycling, for enforcing safety, and for enforcing route efficiency. It's not what it was designed to do. So we need to look to address issues beyond integrity. So what are we proposing? Which is now law, not really a proposal anymore. A safe and efficient collection system providing high quality, low cost service that advances the city's zero waste goals. So the way we're doing that is creating a system of 20 zones and having a competitive solicitation process, an RFP, to select 3 carters to collect waste in every zone. In addition to that, there will be 5 city contracts citywide for providing containerized waste collection, so roll-off containers and compactors. And then we will set high qualifications and standards for giving those contracts related to low pricing, customer service, infrastructure and sustainability, employment practices and safety. So you have to meet these high qualifications in a competitive process in order to get a contract. Like today, customers will still be able to shop around among the 3 carters that best meets its specific needs. And again, like today, if the customer's not happy, they can switch carters if their needs are not being met. We've been doing a lot of stakeholder engagement on this for almost 3 years now. I've met with over 150 different stakeholders and really everyone that this policy could affect, from carting companies down to commercial businesses, the labor unions representing the employees, property managers, and so on. There was a lot of advocacy for doing this before we stepped in. The carters did not want to do this. The missing perspective is really the customer perspective. They need low prices, they want some choice, they don't want to be stuck with one company that the city decides. So we took that into effect, and that's why we have 3 carting companies in every zone, so the ability to switch, the ability to shop around. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So these are the zones. They're 20 zones, about the same size in terms of number of customers and the actual tonnage of the weight coming out. So what this does is it makes a contract in Midtown Manhattan about the same value to a proposing carter as a zone in Southeast Queens. So we want these to be equal. We want customers in Staten Island being competitive, having strong service providers just the same as Midtown Manhattan. We proposed these zones by rule. The rule is final now, so these are the established zones. And this is the basic idea of how it works. These red dots all over the city are currently one carting company's customers, and this is basically the average carting company. Has about 1,800 customers, and they're spread throughout all 20 zones and all 5 boroughs. So to service those customers, it's that squiggly line. You have to run your trucks all over the city to fill it up. If this company were to go where it's concentrated in Western Queens and were to win, 1/3 of the customers in that zone is the same number of customers that it currently has. So a mid-sized carting company can be very effective and successful in the system, and that's what we want. We want the companies that currently operate to have a chance to be really successful in the system, not just the biggest ones. This is what it looks like on a route level. So this is the same company's route, one route, and one truck going through Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, and New Jersey, just to fill up one truck. If it wins the zone, it can keep that truck all in one area. It's often 50 to 75% more efficient driving these routes. And citywide, it has a very large impact. We go from 79,000 miles a day down to 29,000 miles a day. So 18 million miles of heavy-duty truck traffic every year are eliminated from city streets. And this is everywhere in the city. It's not just benefiting one area. It's a citywide reduction. Every single neighborhood sees less trucks. And beyond the efficiency, through a competitive process with the RFP, we can incentivize a lot of things that we want to see from this industry. So first is increasing the standards, but still having low, transparent pricing. So carters will build a maximum rate similar to the rate cap that exists today, but it will be held for each individual company. And if you can offer a low maximum price, that will give you more points in the RFP process. And then we're going to require itemized billing and phase out cash payments, because there's a lot of cash going around and a lot of cash collectors going door to door. So we want to make that a thing of the past. Customer service, improve service quality and establish accountability. So every carter will have to still have a written service agreement with its customer. Carters cannot refuse service to any customer, so that's an obligation of the contract. You have to service every customer that asks for it. The city establishes baseline service standards, but again, the customer can go above and beyond that for their specialized needs. And then carters will be required to have a call center, in-person customer service center, and a website. We want this to further our zero waste initiative in the city. So carters must provide recycling to every single customer it provides refuse service to. Right now, customers are required to recycle. They have been for more than 20 years, but carters are not required to pick up recycling. So it's a loophole that basically makes a lot of customers not recycle. So we're eliminating that loophole. They have to offer recycling and organics, and they have to do that at a discount. So customers will be incentivized, they'll save money if they recycle. And if you can go above and beyond in your commitments, say you commit to building a material recovery facility, you will get more points in your proposal. Safety and labor, just reducing half of the truck miles in the city will make the system much, much, much more safe, both for workers and for residents. But on top of that, Local Law 199 requires minimum training standards for every employee, starting at 40 hours, and then refresher trainings. On top of that, we'll have safety and labor plans be submitted as part of the RFP. And then on top of that, there will be a safety task force that the city establishes to propose rules for the adoption by the city to create a safer system. Environment and infrastructure, so beyond Local Law 145, that is going to be a minimum requirement. You have to have all your trucks in compliance with that. But we want to think about the next 20 years. We want to get to natural gas or electric fleets and get to zero emissions. So these will spur investment, and we will award companies that are committed to make investments in their fleet and their facilities. And then lastly, a robust competitive industry. We want this to work for carters of all sizes. So a single carter can only win 15 contracts, and that's 15 out of 65. They are sized to allow smaller companies to be competitive. And then we are accepting creative offers. If you are a broker, you could submit on behalf of multiple companies. Partnering or subcontracting is allowed. So if you can be efficient and meet these high standards, even a small company can be very successful. So the benefits for residents: safer streets, cleaner air, and quieter nights. For customers, low and transparent pricing, improved recycling, stronger service accountability, and it's a better place to do business if you're sort of retail. For carters, it's an end of the race to the bottom dynamics, the ability to operate efficiently really for the first time, and you can make long-term investments and know that your contract with the city will be there really for 10 years or more. And then for workers, these are shorter, safer routes, better training. These are really going to be better jobs for workers. Okay, so we've been working on this since 2017. We passed the law in November, so right now we're doing a number of rulemakings, and Vic is doing some in parallel with us. That will lead to the release of the RFP. We're looking for May or June for releasing the RFP for carters to respond to. That will kick off the procurement process, which will take us to actually implementing these contracts and customers switching for the new zone carter, probably in mid-2021. So mid-2021, that starts a 2-year transition process. So we're going into 2023 when this is really the entire city transition to the system. Okay, all our materials are available at nyc.gov/commercial waste. I'm happy to take any questions. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you to Justin Bland and the Department of Sanitation for that informative presentation. Thank you to the commission members for their participation, and to the members of the commission staff for their hard work on these matters. That concludes the matters before the commission. We are off the record.